Tonight on News Prime, federal government announces reforms to localize gender equality policies. And the business news, federal government to unveil Fly Nigeria Act for local airline growth. On the first thing tonight, Southern African forces to leave DR Congo as rebels gain ground. And on sports, Osimhen says playing at 2026 World Cup priority. Hello and welcome to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Adika Michael. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. You can also download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. Minister of State for Defense, Dr. Bello Matawalle, says effectively addressing the security challenges in the West African sub-region requires collective effort from all affected countries. Matawalle made these remarks during the gala night for the 43rd Ordinary Meeting of the Economic Community of West African States Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff in Abuja. The former governor of Zamfara State expressed Nigeria's appreciation to the ECOWAS military chiefs for the dedication to the shared vision of peace, unity, and regional development. And now the Commonwealth Association of Nigeria has joined other member states to commemorate the Commonwealth Day 2025, reaffirming its dedication to democracy, human rights, global peace, inclusivity, and sustainable development. Our correspondent, Kiko Lemokere, has a report.
Commonwealth Day is an annual celebration observed by millions across Commonwealth in Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and Americas, the Pacific, and Europe. The events and activities taking place throughout the month of March include civic and faith gatherings, school assemblies, debates, flag-raising ceremonies, and cultural celebration. Stakeholders at the event call on the federal government of Nigeria to eradicate lack of peace and unity so as to enhance inclusivity and national development.
The main thrust of this lecture is the peace and unity of our nation. That the important thing is that every country has its own story. The difference between one country and another, the success of one country and the failure of another, and the difference in the choices they make. Whether choice of leadership, Nigeria is progressing, but not as a rate that ought to progress. Because all the countries that were poor alongside Nigeria in the 60s, they have all overtaken Nigeria. And the basic thing that we are having is this issue of lack of unity and lack of peace within Nigeria. Like I said there,
I encourage every single Nigerian to have the courage to take bold steps to set aside those things that bring us, that divide us as a people, and bring those things that unite us as a people. Because when we are united, we will make stronger achievements together.
The core values of Commonwealth is peace, democracy, and good governance. And that's why all the speakers are talking about peace, how we can live together as one family under God. That is the core activities and core values of the
2025 Commonwealth Day, which is tagged Together We Strive, provide a critical opportunity to take stock of the national challenges, progress, and expectation in both personal and community relationship. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
And now, Kebbi State Governor Nasir Idris has assured victims of the recent Lakrowa attacks in Arewa local government area that his administration will take swift action to resettle them in their communities. Idris made his pledge during a condolence visit to the internally displaced persons camp in Kangiwa, Kebbi State. The camp shelters those displaced from Beni Kebbi, then Make and Tambo were armed assailants attacked, killing 11 people and setting one of the villages ablaze. Minister of Women Affairs, Hajia Iman Suleiman, has emphasized government's commitment to achieving systemic change in driving bold reforms to empower women and localize gender equality policies. She disclosed this at the ongoing high-level strategic joint event for gender equality in New York. She says the government plans to empower 10 million women in the next 3 years in order to increase their productivity and economic contributions, highlighting the Nigeria for Women project as one of the ministry's interventions, which has already supported 450,000 women and aims to reach 4.5 million more. In out to the National Assembly, the Senate has called on the federal government for urgent action to addressing the rising insecurity in Benue State. The Senate had plenary urged the federal government to establish a military base in Benue Northwest Senatorial District to prevent further attacks by deadly herdsmen. Our correspondent Ramsey Heno has the details.
Senator Titus Zam, representing Benue Northeast, presented the motion that led to this decision, representing the deployment of troops to affected communities to restore peace after a recent attack left 4 people dead and millions of naira in property destroyed.
Urgent need for the federal government to deploy troops to immediately restore law and order in Gwe West Local Government Area of Benue State.
After a brief debate on the matter, the Senate asked the National Emergency Management Agency, that is NEMA, to provide relief materials to those affected. They also urged the Benue State government to enforce its open grazing and ranching laws to prevent future clashes. Though Senate Minority Leader Abba Moro expressed worry over the silence and inaction of Governor Hyacinth Alia on the matter, the Senate unanimously urged the Benue State government to enforce the open grazing provision and ranching law to avoid subsequent clashes.
I rise to second this motion on a very, very sad note that the continued silence and inaction on the part of the government of Benue State is snowballing into the citizens resorting to attacking elected representatives and residents of the various communities under siege.
The Senate thereafter mandated its Committee on National Security, Police, Navy, Air Force, Defense and Army to go on a joint assessment tour of the affected communities, sympathize with victims of the attacks, and report progress in due course.
I hope that with the resolutions of today, that succor will come to the people there, and the military base will be established in order to save lives and forestall future occurrences.
Ramsey Enoch Agbo reporting for Global TV News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Senate has defended a decision to suspend Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan before the Inter-Parliamentary Union, saying that her suspension was not related to allegations of sexual harassment, but due to gross misconduct. Speaking before the Inter-Parliamentary Union, IPU, the chairperson of the House Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development, Philat Obara, dismissed claims made by Akpoti-Uduaghan at a United Nations event that she was suspended for raising allegations of sexual harassment against Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Obara said she has been mandated by the National Assembly to present a response to Akpoti-Uduaghan's speech delivered at the 69th session of the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. The Nigerian Senate has directed the Independent National Electoral Commission to comply with a Supreme Court ruling that mandates the restoration of Onitsha North State constituency in Delta State. The addition follows a motion moved by Senator Ned Walker, representing Delta North, emphasizing the necessity of adhering to the court's decision. Here is Queen Egeba has the report.
During Senate discussions, lawmakers voiced concerns that the constituency's suspension had deprived its residents of appropriate representation in the Delta State House of Assembly.
I rise to move the motion for the restoration of Onitsha North 2 State constituency pursuant to Supreme Court judgment. The Senate notes that in 2014, the people of Idumujono, Idumuchuboko, Okunzo, Uboba, Idumuogo, Ubodu, Ubulubu, Anioma. I'm sure that sounds familiar. Ogodo towns in Anyocha North local government area of Delta State initiated a legal action at the Federal High Court, Asaba, seeking the restoration of the Anyocha North 2 state constituency.
The abolition or suspension of certain state constituencies across the country has actually deprived the people of proper representation and caused a level of imbalance in the political equation of some of these states. And because INEC is a creation of the law, it is expected that once the court has ruled in favor of the restoration of suppressed constituencies, it should be taken as automatic.
Second note, we have only one constituency in that local government, state constituency in that local government, which is bigger than most other local government that has 2 or 3 constituencies. So we are in court, and the population supports that. So what he's saying is correct in most places, especially in Delta State, sir.
Once Supreme Court pronounces, you know better than I do, because as a lawyer, you know that. Once the Supreme Court make pronouncement, it's like making a law. So in this case, there's a pronouncement by the Supreme Court that this should be done. And once you have that done, you know that as a lawyer, that must be implemented.
In his remarks, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, stressed the importance of restoring the constituency before the next Delta State House of Assembly elections.
That the Independent National Electoral Commission complies with this resolution by ensuring that the restoration of Anyocha North 2 state constituency of Delta State takes effect in the next House of Assembly election after the current life of the current Delta State House of Assembly in compliance with Section 115 of the Constitution. Those in support of Resolution 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate therefore called on INEC to implement the Supreme Court's verdict without further delay. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting.
Well, now turn attention now to Rivers State, as Governor Similayo Fubara says is ready to represent the 2025 budget to the State House of Assembly whenever the lawmakers are prepared. Fubara stated this while speaking to residents of Kana local government area during the commissioning of the health facilities. And this came shortly after he was denied entry into the Assembly quarters. And our Governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, has reaffirmed his commitment to the development of the state, urging leaders of the Owerri zone to remain united and focus on the collective good of the state. And this comes as the high-powered delegation led by Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho passed a vote of confidence on his administration. Our correspondent Amarachi Ibe has more details.
Seated at these executive council chambers are leaders and stakeholders from Owerri zone, led by Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho of the Imo Harmony Project. Welcoming the delegation, Governor Hope Uzodinma appreciates their support and assured them of his administration's continued efforts to balance equity and competence in governance.
I must thank you for the wonderful accolades showered on me. I believe in the charter of equity, but like you said, the charter of equity is not to individuals. The charter of equity is to zones. Remember that the person I was supposed to succeed me must come from my party.
Leading the delegation, Captain Emmanuel Iheanacho commended the governor's developmental strides, particularly in road infrastructure, and pledged the continued support of Owerri zone.
I'm here to tell you that you are doing absolutely well. Although Owerri and Okigwe, we note that our brothers in Owerri zone have had the opportunity of producing the governor for nearly 20 years or more. Our brothers from Okigwe have had the opportunity of producing the governor for about 4 years. And in the Owerri zone, we have had the opportunity of contributing the governor for only 7 months. Charter of equity which really dictates that we will be able to produce the government come 2027. But come down here today, in addition to all the things I've said, to come and support that that I've said.
Some stakeholders also spoke on the importance of their visit to the governor.
We must thank Governor Hope Uzodimma for coming out with Charter of Equity. It simply means that power will rotate, because when it rotates, it will enhance peace, it will enhance unity, and above all, it will enhance progress.
The highlight of the meeting was a vote of confidence moved by Honorable Tochi Okere and seconded by Honorable Samuel Otibe, receiving unanimous approval.
Of this motion moved and seconded, say aye.
With this unanimous vote of confidence, Owerri Zone leaders have reinforced their commitment to the governor's vision for a more prosperous Imo State. From Government House Owerri, Amarachi Ibe, reporting for Global TV News.
You're watching the live broadcast of News Prime, where News Prime returns as all production resumes in Ogoni. Grassroots women insist on inclusion in dialogue and reparation. We'll have the details shortly, plus foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Do you know that global television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch global television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to global television.
Welcome back. Many thanks for still staying with us here now on News Prime. To business news, the House of Representative Committee on Finance has proposed a tax exemption on the personal income of military personnel in Nigeria. Chairman of the committee, Abiodun Faleke, disclosed this during the clause-by-clause consideration of the 4 tax bills transmitted to the Parliament by President Bola Tinubu in October 2024. And now, as discussions continue over the federal government proposed resumption of crude oil production in Ogoni land, grassroots women in the farming sector have raised concerns about being allegedly sidelined. They noted that despite the trauma and physical harm they endured during the Ogoni struggle, their voices remain suppressed in the ongoing dialogue. Kikolo Mokere completes the report.
Settlement, no.
The team from Kabekache Resource Center and Foundation visited several Ogoni communities in Kana and Gokada local government area of Rivers State, where women who were part of Ogoni struggles in the early 90s recounted their traumatic experiences. These women, whose only means of livelihood is farming, has been severely impacted by decades of oil-related activities, insisting that the federal government must show empathy and pay repatriation for the physical and psychological pain that have endured before the plans to resume oil production on their land are considered. The women who made this assertion during the recent interaction with the Kabekache Women Development and Resource Center, a non-governmental organization with commitment to empowering women and amplifying the voices of the poor and vulnerables across communities in the oil-rich yet impoverished Niger Delta region.
My mother was terrorized and my sisters. Since then, our women, we are suffering. Most of the women that are in the local village, they are suffering, having nothing to eat. They will be weeding grass. They will look for 500 naira a day. Look at the whole Ogoni great nation.
Where you are extracting oil from, you did not develop that place. What do we do to federal government? What do we do? What did the Ogoni people do to them? Only to come and kill us. Only to come and kill us. As you look at this place look like a place where they are taking oil from. People are benefiting from our oil, but we are here. No work for our children.
The session provided a safe space for them to share their stories and begin healing from traumas caused by environmental and climate injustice, as well as various forms of violence against women.
They said they will come and take our oil. We want them to settle the women, to settle the less privileged. We are suffering.
Anything come now. If we did not pay, then no go take. Now so I talk, and I show it go take.
The days we ate and the days we didn't eat were the same. The days when the town is tensed, mommy can't go out to get food, so you have to sleep on an empty stomach.
Have been destroyed because of oil. Oil has brought us more harm than good.
Meanwhile, as part of the activities marking 2025 International Women's Day, Kabekache Foundation also organized a traumatic healing session in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, for these women and other from oil-impacted communities like Otuagbagi in Bayelsa State, where oil was first discovered in commercial quantity in Nigeria. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
And out to the foreign scene, Southern African leaders have announced they will pull through the troops out of Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where they have been helping the government fight rebel forces. The troops were sent 2 years ago to support the Congolese army fight the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels, which has seized control of large part of the mineral-rich eastern DR Congo this year. At least 19 soldiers from the South Africa, Malawi, and Tanzania were killed when the M23 captured the region's biggest city, Goma, in January. Russia has downed 77 Ukrainian drones overnight. The defense ministry says 2 days after Kiev carried out the largest direct strike on Moscow during a 3-year war. The ministry said 30 drones were intercepted and destroyed over the western region, while 25 more were downed over the Kaluga. The defense ministry noted further that more drones were intercepted over the regions of Kursk, Ryazan, and Belgorod. As a sport news tonight, Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen has declared that qualifying for the 2026 World Cup is a top priority for the Nigerian national team as they look to avoid missing out on consecutive editions of the Global Showpiece. The 2023 African Footballer of the Year expresses the aspiration to help Nigeria recover from their winless start in Group C of the qualifiers, where they have drawn 3 of their first 4 games. The Super Eagles currently sit 4 points behind group leaders. Rwanda had faced a crucial double-header this month, traveling to Kigali to face the Wasps on March 21st before hosting the bottom side Zimbabwe 4 days later at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in New York. Wrapping up with sport, Italian Serie A club Atalanta have increased their asking for Super Eagles forward Ademola Lookman from the £50 million to £60 million amid a growing interest from the Juventus and other suitors following its stellar performance in the recent encounter. The reigning African Footballer of the Year played a pivotal role in Atlanta's emphatic 4-0 victory over the Turin Giants last weekend, scoring his landmark 50th Serie A goal and further enhancing his reputation as one of the league's standout performers. And as we wrap up the news prime, let's take a look at the top stories. The Minister of Women Affairs, Hajia Iman Suleiman, has emphasized government's commitment to achieving systemic change in driving bold reforms to empower women and localize gender equality. And besides, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, says the federal government is set to introduce the Fly Nigeria Act to the National Assembly, a policy aimed at boosting the country's aviation industry by mandating government officials to prioritize local airlines for official trips. And on the foreign scene, we told you earlier that Southern African leaders have announced they will pull their troops out of Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where they have been helping the government fight rebel forces. And on sports, Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen has declared that qualifying for the 2026 World Cup is a top priority for the Nigerian national team as they look to avoid missing out on consecutive editions of the Global Showpiece. And that's our package here on News Prime. Kindly follow us on all streaming platform, now showing on the screen at Global TV NG. You can also download the Global TV Nigeria app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. I'm Adika Michael. Many thanks for watching and stay with us here on News Prime. See you again.